So good evening, everybody. We are into the evening now. This is one of a short series of fabulous little mini interviews post the TEDx Telford event. And I am absolutely thrilled and proud and delighted to be joined this evening by the lady who really, her and her team made this whole thing possible. And this is Sam Warner. So hi, Sam. Thanks for joining us. Hey. Sam, perhaps you'd like to start actually, just who are you and what do you do for the benefit of those people watch you?
Oh, okay then. Well, I'm a communications specialist. I help people with public speaking, their 60-second pitches, and I help adults with Asperger's communicate with those who are not on the spectrum and vice versa. A bit like a translator or an interpreter of sorts. Yeah.
Amazing. So it comes as perhaps no surprise that you wanted to put on a TEDx event then. It sounds like it's right up your street, really.
Absolutely. Initially, it was, I thought, I think I'd quite like to do a TED talk myself. Being a big fan of the TED enterprise.
Indeed.
And I have some things I'd like to say at some point.
Of course.
And I then thought, well, I don't really know how to go about this, and I would be very frustrated at applying endlessly and not getting in, and a lot of the TEDx's are so in demand, right, in terms of speakers applying, that it's very hard for them to get back to everybody with feedback and all that kind of stuff. So right. I thought, I don't want to go through that. I know, I'll put the whole thing on and then I'll know what that's logical, isn't it?
That's logical. Why not? Fantastic. And I know that obviously TEDx events, because they're part of TED, require licensing and so on. So how difficult was it to kind of get the licensing through? Talk us through that.
So the form itself is not difficult to complete, but you do have to be very thorough in your answers. Right. I did have a little bit of a back and forth with TED Central about, they wanted some further clarification and depth into specific speakers that I wanted to target and ask them to apply. And they also wanted me to flesh the theme out really fully, properly, so that they could understand it was truly broad and not narrow in any way. It's very important that it should be very broad. You can't, for example, put a TEDx on all about sport, right, for example. So that was it was just fine tuning and tweaking, and they also needed reassurance from me that I wasn't going to self-promote in any way, which is right. Why you won't see me talking about my business at all, and certainly I won't name my business. So if you're interested, Google me.
I love that. Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I can imagine actually. And was it quite a lengthy process? Did it take a while to get that all approved?
Yeah, it did. I applied in April and eventually got it agreed in June. So I don't know how long an average one takes because it's my first. But I think probably the back and forth to the States with emails took a bit of extra time as well. But yeah, it was kind of a relief to get it, and exciting, and oh no, what have I done? And
now I'm committed. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So of course, a massive part of the whole TEDx thing, well, it's all about speakers, isn't it? So how did you choose the speakers?
Well, there was two kind of choices to make. So the first one was, where do I go to find my speakers to apply? So I used my network, my existing network, both physical and online. I'm a member of some Facebook groups like Women Who Speak and Women in Rural Enterprise. Now, I know that all sounds a bit women, but it just happens that I'm a member of those groups, and that's what I do. And I also reached out to men, honest.
Well, we had some, so you must have.
Yeah. But 80% of the people who applied were women. So we had a lot of ladies to choose from. Yeah. And in terms of personal networking, face to face, I would go to my networking club and I'd tell them about it, and I'd say, if you're really interested in getting your idea out there, this is your chance. And we had 48 applications for just 16 speaking slots.
Gosh. So so myself and the other 15 successful selected few, if you like, I suppose we're even more privileged to have been chosen. So that's great. Great
yeah. And we had a panel, because the second part of that is, how did we then choose from the 48?
Yeah.
And we had a panel of 5 people. I deliberately chose a real kind of mixture of people. There were a couple of guys, 3 ladies. I made sure that we were a diverse group as well.
Yeah.
And we all had a score sheet, and we marked everybody independently in our own homes, no influence at all. So there's no kind of discussion like, oh, what do you think of that one? Oh, I'm not sure. No influence. We wanted to make it as fair as possible, especially as I know personally 14 people who applied. So that would have been really fishy.
Could have really compromised how you felt about it as well, couldn't it? So really sensibly done. And I think, you know, if anybody's watching this that maybe is also thinking about they'd like to put on a TEDx in their local area, then, you know, these are really good, useful tips for them to take to bear in mind, I guess, to have an impartial panel like that.
Definitely.
So Sam, you and the really close-knit team around you, I heard on a number of occasions you put this whole thing together in like about 9 weeks, which I believe you were told couldn't be done, and you said, "Watch me." In short, is that right? Was it really 9 weeks?
Well, I'm quite stubborn, and I'd already chosen the date I wanted it on, and nothing else would do. So it was 9 weeks away. Okay, Ted suggested that you wouldn't want to do it any sooner than 3 months away from your date.
Okay.
Well, 9 weeks isn't that much less, really. It's only a couple of weeks. So it was just a case of getting the wriggle on. I think it helps that I'd been thinking about it already, so it wasn't like I was starting from scratch. And I already had Claire and Sigonia on board as well. And then Lynn's came along like this fantastic knight in shining armour to save us from stage hell. So that was pretty awesome. Yeah. And it's one of those moments where you just sort of think, gosh, I must have done something right sometime, because the people I had around me were absolutely fantastic. And Roy, oh my goodness, all the heavy lifting. You know, the stage was carried up by hand up the stairs because it wouldn't fit in the lift. So I'm so tremendously grateful for everything they put into it. Absolutely. Without them, it wouldn't have happened. Absolutely. I might have been leading the ship, but they were rowing.
Well, indeed. And I think, you know, you all, hats off. If I was wearing a hat, Sam, I would take it off to you. And I know that I speak on behalf of everybody that spoke, and probably everybody in that audience that day. But I mean, it was a fabulous event, wasn't it? And what was the best thing about the event for you?
Do you know, I've done a lot of public speaking. I'm very fortunate to do that. And I've never been in a room with a warmer audience. Yeah. Every person in that room wanted to be there. They'd bought a ticket. No one had kind of made them come under duress. No boss had said, you've got to go to this seminar or something like that. And they hadn't come for a freebie. They'd invested their time and money in the event and the day. And they were already a fan before we'd even opened our mouths. And I've never had that level of love, and it felt like waves of love coming onto me when I was on the stage. And I didn't know most of the people in the room. It was the love for TED and the love for what we were doing.
Do you know, I again, you know, I've spoken to a few of the other speakers from the day, and they've all said, and I think most of them have commented on just how wonderful that audience were. And I think you articulate it beautifully there. You know, they really were giving us love, weren't they, from their seats and whatever. So yeah, it really was wonderful. Sam, I can't thank you enough. Not only, and when I say you, I mean you and the wonderful rowing team around you, for not only giving me the opportunity to find my place on the TEDx stage, but also for putting on such a wonderful, warm, loving, snuggly, lovely and fluffy, yet inspirational and informative event for Telford. So thank you so much. Honestly, I mean that really, really sincerely. It's like a big deal for me, and I know it is for many of the speakers too. Thank you.
Well, thanks very much, Jackie. Says the lady who got a standing ovation.
Oh, well. Thank you.
In a TEDx, I have to say.
Oh, well, thank you.
It was a real pleasure. And I also am very grateful to the speakers, because I think the other thing that's worth saying is the amount of time and effort needed to put the TED speech together, or TED talk together.
Sure.
It's hours and hours and hours. And I did speak to a lot of the speakers on Zoom. Mm-hmm. And there are even some people who were on holiday and sent me videos of their speeches because they couldn't make the rehearsal. That's how committed they were. Yeah. And
deal, right?
yeah, but it was so worth it, because it helped me to understand where you should fit in the program and what your talk was going to be about, and the energy in it. And when I'm putting together a program, it's really important to get people in the right order, so that you're kind of giving the audience a treat. You start off with a bang, you really kind of excite them and go, wow, this is going to be amazing. It sets the tone. And then as you go on, you're just building and building and building. And of course, I had to leave Hannah to the end, because it's like, I'm just going to with emotion at the
end. Absolutely. Yeah. And I think that was so cleverly done, I have to say. Again, other people have mentioned that it really was, you took everybody on this journey, a wonderful journey, and it seemed like in some very clever way, you were able to, when I say compartmentalize, you know what I mean by that, but really kind of have these 4 different blocks all around the theme within the theme, which just so clever. And I mean, obviously a lot of work went on to make it look really easy. So really amazing. Yeah. But yes, you're right. I did. I went off on holiday. A lot of people don't know I was on holiday just about a week before the event, and I'd had a complete relax and a complete rest. And the only thing on my mind for that 2 weeks was the TEDx talk. And I literally, every day, I would be lying by the pool, and then I would say, I'm just going in for half an hour to do my TEDx. And that's literally it every day. And occasionally I was an hour, and I'd just go over it and over it. And I was videoing, and then I was timing it and all those kind of things. And it was almost like each time I did it, something was different. And so I think really you get to a point where you have to just trust that you know it enough, and it will be enough. And what I loved about the whole experience is that all of us, yourself included, although in our eyes you're an absolute superstar, but we are all just normal people. And isn't that just what makes the whole experience wonderful?
It really does. Yeah, I love that we are able to put these events on, because they just make everybody feel awesome. And who doesn't want to feel awesome?
Absolutely. So Sam, thank you again for joining us. If you want to kind of wrap up with telling us if people want to contact you and maybe talk about anything to do with what you do, or anything to do with TEDx or putting on a TEDx event, or anything that you can support them with, how can they reach you?
Well, I think email's a good idea. So I am easily contactable on Samantha_Warner@hotmail.com. Hopefully nice and easy to remember. And you can always ring me, text me, or WhatsApp me on 07973 490 150.
Great. Okay.
Best way to get me, really.
Yeah.
Although Google me as well. I'm on LinkedIn, Twitter, I'm everywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're Sam Warner on LinkedIn. Have I got that right?
I am Sam Warner. That's right. Yeah. It's only the Hotmail address that's Samantha, because Sam Warner had already gone.
Yeah. Ah, okay. So, final thing for you is, I believe, if I'm correct, that you are hoping to repeat this exercise again next year. So, do you have? I know that there will be people just literally knocking on the door, chomping at the bit to get into this event, and I'll be one of those. But you know. Have you got anything in place at the moment? Is there anywhere people should be looking out, keeping an eye open on? How can they find?
Not yet. It's still very early days. We're still wrapping up our post-event activities for this one.
Okay.
And so once we've delivered all of the photographs and all of the videos for the event, which we hope will be in a couple of weeks, fingers crossed, then we'll be at a position where we can apply again for the license for the next one, and fingers crossed we'll get it. Truly, when I first did the TEDx thing, I was just going to do the one, but so many people have asked me to do another one. I feel like I can't say no.
And you know what, Sam? If you can do that you pulled off, you and the team, in 9 weeks, just imagine what you can do in like 50 weeks. Just be incredible. Just be incredible. So, all good.
Yeah.
Sam Warner, thank you personally for not only being here but putting on an amazing TEDx event. And I know the universe is going to conspire to get us in touch again. And well, thank you so much for joining us. And I'll speak to you again really soon.
Thank you very much, Jackie.
Take care. Bye for now.
Bye.